20146 is your SMS line at Metropole TVKE across all your social media platforms. This is your sector trends. Now, 2020 ended on a sad note. In 2020, about 1.72 million workers lost jobs in 3 months to June when Kenya imposed coronavirus-induced lockdowns that led to layoffs and pay cuts. Data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics (KNBS) indicated that the number of people in employment fell to 15.87 million between April and the end of June compared to 17.5 million in the previous quarter. Now, further breakdown of the data also showed the young people were the hardest hit by the job cuts compared to the counterparts aged above 35 years in an economic setting that was heavily headlined by a hiring freeze on the back of sluggish corporate earnings. It was a major blow to job seekers, especially the close to 1 million young people. Now, these young people are the ones who graduate from various educational institutions every year, with a quarterly labor force survey indicating that nearly 4.64 million people were jobless at the end of June, up from 2.94 million at the end of March 2020, when Kenya reported its first case of COVID-19 in the country. Now, 2021 already has started, with many analysts expressing optimism that the corporate sector will rebound. But how has the work environment changed in the entire of 2021? And most importantly, who is hiring? Well, before we introduce the guest who's joining us this morning, I just want us to go back to that data so we can express exactly where we are in terms of the unemployment numbers in the country. And I just want us to look at the Kenya youth unemployment rate in the country as well, which are going to say that, well, the numbers indicate that we have been dropping all the way to 2018, but that graph from 2018 to 2019 is the one that expresses the change in the economy, and 2020 seems to be really bad as well if you add the effects of the coronavirus pandemic. All right, let's go across to the rate of unemployment in the country as well, which you're going to see 2020 was a 5.2. 2020, because of the coronavirus pandemic, jumped by double that number to 10.4%. All right, let's look at the 2020 first quarter numbers. In terms of that unemployment rate, again, you're going to see that 2019 we were 2 million, representing what I've been saying, double that figure at 4,637,124. All right, 2020 second quarter versus first quarter numbers, and those are the age groups. The bigger chunk of that between 20 to 24 and 25 to 29 as well, and also represented by reduction in those numbers 35 to 39, which also shows you what the jump has been in terms of first quarter and second quarter unemployment numbers in the country in terms of those age groups. Well, that's the data. Now, joining us in the studio this morning to talk to us about how 2020 is faring in terms of unemployment and what the jobs are, it is Christopher Karani, all right, who's the Managing Director at Workforce Africa. Christopher, thank you very much for joining us this morning, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
Anybody is going to ask you, Christopher, I mean, those numbers are big. Jumping by double the digit is exactly... that's doom in any figure they're going to look at. First question is, who is hiring in 2021?
Yeah, it's 2020 was a tough year for sure. So the industries that, just based on the data that we are seeing and the trends for quarter one, is, first of all, the people that lost most of the jobs, like you said, rightly, are the young people. And also because they are less than 35, it's also jobs that were more frequent jobs. They are more manual jobs.
Yes.
So one of the areas that we see recovering, which bounces back as soon as the economy gets to kick in, is maybe construction and manufacturing. So that is an area that contributes a huge chunk of the people who have lost their jobs, and we see that coming back soon. The other area that we are seeing positive trends is also technology.
Yes.
And the reason I say technology is because technology is making people's lives easier. So it's becoming almost a necessity. So these are the areas that will be fast coming back. because people are looking at essential services. So
Yes.
technology, I see it coming back soon. The other area which actually was more given a positive edge by also COVID is logistics and distribution. People have gotten to the idea of getting stuff delivered to their homes. It is proving to be also an opportunity for people to get jobs through maybe border distributors, the likes of companies that do distribution. So we are also seeing that area coming up soon. And the last one I would mention is still agriculture.
Yes.
So I just think there's a lot of ventures into agribusiness and commercial versions of agriculture. So there's a potential for that to bounce back soon as well.
Yes, just before we move away from that question, Christopher, I would like for you to outline when you say that we're still under the essential service category. You like to think that 2021 would have sort of had a different sentiment, that we were in essential service in 2020. Can we now sort of move into other areas? Do we still expect that essential service is going to headline the areas where there are jobs in 2021? And up to when do we expect for us to move away from this trend?
I think businesses are cautious because people don't know what's going to happen.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not an absolute 100% turnaround. So we still have cases that are happening in the country. So most of the businesses are cautious, especially in terms of spending. So I see the reason I say essential services is because those are the areas that people cannot live without. So even in terms of investment for most of the businesses, that is where they are putting their money, because at least there's some confidence that they will be able to recover in those sections.
Pretty much, which therefore leads me to my next question, Christopher. I mean, we did see the work environment and the way in which we understand work change, and human resource responsibilities also changed in 2020. Could you tell me some of those trends that we adopted in 2020 that we expect to spill into 2021?
So one of the things is definitely working from home.
Yes.
So we expect that to continue. So the reason I say that is because there are some industries that have actually seen a positive trend for people working from home, whether it is in terms of reduced expenditure for people coming into the office, and even in some cases, improved productivity because people are able to focus. Obviously, not all. So there's doctors need to go to a hospital. So some people have to work, but there's definitely that trend will continue to increase in 2021.
Yes.
So that's one of them.
All right.
The other area I would actually mention
just before you cross over to another area, Christopher, if you can get me just before you cross over to another area under that specific category for let's work from home, remote working, Christopher. I mean, well, the way to analyze it is that we're still within the grips of the COVID-19 pandemic. A time is going to come when we're going to say, well, the vaccines are here. We are now moving away from the COVID-19 pandemic era. Somebody's going to ask you the question: is it here to stay post COVID-19?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's some industries are not going to go back.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was actually talking to somebody who was telling me he has actually seen improvement in his team whilst they're working from home. The thing to consider is, as an organization, what kind of support are you providing to these people? So if you're providing support in terms of honest, or in terms of even the tools that they're supposed to use when they're at home, then there's more than likely that the performance is going to be almost, if not better, if someone's working from the office.
Yes. All right, Christopher, we can go on with the other trends that you were talking about then.
Yeah, so the other trend that is happening is changing jobs. So you'll see a trend of people constantly also changing opportunities.
Yes.
Because then they are looking at, people are spending more time learning as well. Also, people are spending more time also just reflecting on the opportunities that are available. And also because of COVID, and maybe one opportunity has come to an end because of layoffs or loss of jobs, people are more open-minded to take on more different careers because you're not 100% sure when it is going to come back. So that trend is continuing, and I think it will continue for a while.
Yes.
The other one is also multiple jobs. So you find more and more people handling multiple jobs. You have your day job, but then you're doing a hustle on the side, whether it's you're selling something online or people working online through the freelancing models and things like that.
Yes.
So we have seen more trend of people taking multiple jobs.
Pretty much, which actually leads me to my next question now. Because somebody's going to ask you, Christopher, with these trends that we're talking about, and with the way in which the corporate environment is now changed from 2020 into 2021, how do you properly position yourself to get that job in 2021? Is there something that I need to know as a job seeker?
Yeah, definitely. So the thing is, learning is important. Yeah, the jobs are changing, like we mentioned, but also organizations are expecting different things.
Yes.
Yeah, the way sales, for instance, used to be done last year before COVID,
yes.
and the way sales is being done now, targeting people who are not there with you physically, must be different. Yeah, so the skills are changing. So what I think from a positioning point of view for a job seeker is, first of all, continue to learn, continue to keep yourself updated. The other big thing is technology. Almost all jobs have been impacted by technology. How are you, as a job seeker, positioning yourself to understand technology and its impact in your specific area?
Yes.
And how is that going to improve your ability to contribute even better?
Yes. Let me slide off to the side as well, because this is a question that I got from a very close watcher of business. I said, wow, you are doing something totally different in school, Christopher. And now 2021 is demanding, and that has come from you, that, well, you don't necessarily have to be in the line of you training. When you're applying for that job, Christopher, what is the balance? Because it's clearly going to be saying that you haven't done this job, but you're still applying for it. How do you represent yourself as somebody who can actually do that job? Because that's what makes most people shy away from applying jobs in different areas of their expertise or training.
So, it's about time, even as companies in the country, we shifted from looking at someone's CVs and 5-10 years experience that they have in that specific area.
Yes.
Yeah, and more focused on the skill. So if I've been at home for 6 months and I have really learned Photoshop and there's a job for design, whether I did agriculture in university, that's no big deal. So it's really a matter of looking at the skill that the person has to offer and really leveraging that particular skill. And as we continue, as staffing companies, as we continue to select people, the main thing that we'll be looking for is those two things. So the skill and also the fit of that person in that environment. So the fit is more personality-wise and more varies, which is okay. Not everyone can fit in every organization. But the main point is that as job seekers continue to develop their skill, organizations, on the other hand, need to recognize that it is a skill that is important and not the multiple years of experience in a particular industry.
All right, let's talk about you yourself as well, Christopher. The way in which staffing companies are also finding themselves sort of navigating the environment in 2021. Good, Christopher, we do understand that there was this shift to, I would say, AI-based, digitally based staffing methodologies that your company as well, like your company has been adopting. But talk to me, Christopher. Have you forced to change the way in which you approach the corporate environment in 2021 as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic? Is your responsibility morphing into something different? Because if we are talking about the environment changing, then Christopher, you are at the heart of that change. How are you changing?
So we definitely have to change as a staffing companies.
Yes.
Because because companies are changing. So, and they have realized, especially because of the impact of COVID, that things have also changed. So one of the things as a staffing company we really need to do is understand what the company is going through. So, and once you understand what the company is going through, then you are able to give them solutions that are relevant to them. So I'll give you an example. So we are generally moving from just the traditional recruitment of hiring someone who is going to do an 8-to-5 job to really suggesting alternative sources of talent for these companies. So they might not necessarily, for instance, need to hire a contract person for 3 years, but possibly they need a freelancer who can be given a particular project, deliver it within 3 months, they get paid, work is done on both sides, and that work is complete. So we really need to understand where is the impact for these
Yes.
organizations,
Yes.
and how do we actually help these organizations manage their transition.
2020, and I would like you, Christopher, to talk to me about that as well, because it is a companies that the biggest thing that we're doing is sort of laying off workers, because we saw there were more layoffs than companies were taking in jobs or labor. I mean, are they coming back to you for these solutions? Because you like to think that now is when they're going through this massive recruitment in some of the areas that you've spoken about.
Yeah, so they are not as, to be honest, not as fast I would have expected.
Yes.
I think people are still a lot more cautious.
Yes.
But definitely people are coming back. What the trend I see positive that is coming through is that companies are more flexible to alternative sources of talent, or to alternative arrangements on how they engage talent. So you find more people are flexible to, say, for instance, outsourcing, for instance. More people are flexible to freelancing, for instance. So it is really becoming, companies are becoming more open-minded in terms of how they actually engage these talent.
Somebody's going to ask you, Christopher, because you're going to give us an inside-out approach. Do you predict when the corporate sector is going to rebound in terms of needing more of this labor? What is this wait-and-see approach, in your own opinion, going to end in 2021? Or are we going to clear 2021 again with a wait-and-see approach?
So we are hoping that things are improving, and we are hoping that obviously COVID doesn't come back, and there's no lockdowns and things like that. So given that context, I think by end of Q1 to add into Q2, I think things are going to significantly improve. I'm especially hopeful for the teams that are maybe in the manufacturing sector, the team that has lost a significant amount of jobs.
Yes.
That these companies will come back, and these teams will start bringing them back on board. Yeah.
Pretty much. All right, this is a direct question again. I'm just looking at approach, so you can actually get your direct questions that were posted to you, Christopher. Good. Saying that 2021 is a year that you really have to approach things differently. Take any job that is available to you. Fine. So there's somebody asking, if a job is directly demanding something that I'm not trained in specifically, what are the chances that you at Workforce Africa are probably going to pick somebody who's well-versed or with experience in that area, as opposed to me, who my papers are not essentially going to indicate that I've got experience in that area? Essentially what they're asking is that how do I get to prove to you that I can actually get to do it better than somebody who's experienced in that area, if that is exactly what 2021 is demanding?
Yeah, so there's options for job seekers, and I think the thing is to be open-minded.
Yes.
So if you have experience, if you have a skill in a certain area and you're not able to demonstrate it, obviously the recruiter will be able to see. So for the job seeker is to look for ways to get to be able to demonstrate that particular capability.
Yes.
So they could, for instance, there's a traditional one where we volunteer for opportunities.
I see.
And we get experience, and we get someone to recommend you and confirm that you're actually able to do this. There's options where people can actually go into freelancing options, where you can actually deliver that particular skill online, and someone can give you a recommendation, and you can have at least be able to demonstrate that you have actually done this work before.
Yes.
So my direct answer would be, look for opportunities to demonstrate that you have a skill in a specific area. Once you have you are able to demonstrate that, then us as recruiters are able to see that, and also consistently network. So reach out to people who have such opportunities, talk to them to be able to see whether they have any chances where you can be able to apply that particular skill.
Lastly, and Christopher, I'm going to beg that you take 15 seconds to answer this question. Is 2021 a year for more job seekers to get into more, I would say, short-term courses? Is that what 2021 demands?
Yes, it definitely demands more learning.
Yes.
Whether it is short courses or long-term courses or self-driven learning, it is definitely requiring that we input ourselves and we continue building our own capability. So most definitely, it's about more learning and more learning.
Pretty much. Christopher Karani, Managing Director, Workforce Africa, thank you very much for taking your time to speak to Metropole TV's Business AM this morning on exactly where those jobs lie and what people need to do to land on these jobs as well.
Sure, happy to.
All right, on that note, we take a short break here on Business AM. Once we come back, your economic review. Good morning.